Okay, fair warning before we start. The items in this video are probably going to get nerfed, so if you buy into them and they just aren't the same in a few days time, then that's really on you. So yesterday, I briefly mentioned that people just love putting one for all on a giant sword, and that's for a good reason. This thing is ridiculous. I won't even keep you waiting for the damage numbers. Here's a backstab on the Livid Dagger, and here's a slap from a giant sword. These two just do not compare. How much does this cost again? About the same. Speaking about costs, it costs you a single left click to click the subscribe button, not including the cost of going on full screen, and does not support mobile. So if you've been enjoying our content lately, then consider subscribing. Okay, back to video. One for All is the newest ultimate enchantment added to the game, alongside Soul Eater. Soul Eater had its 5 minutes of fame by being bugged and dealing a few million more damage than it should have, but that's been fixed now. One for All works entirely as intended. All of your enchants disappear, and you're left with the entirety of Earth's nuclear arsenal in sword form. The current going rate for one of these books is 12 million coins, which is a far shot from the 50 million of a fully matched god book is going to set you back, and this enchantment is supposed to completely replace that. Of course, they're in very short supply right now. There's only 10 on the auction house, and they will all be bought out before you've even finished watching this video. So why specifically the giant sword, and what else can I do with it? Well, the obvious answer is that the giant sword's damage stat is so high that the boosted damage is as high as 1113 more than a normal giant sword. Compared to something like a Livid Dagger, that would be barely better than a clean giant sword, which is entirely against the point of an enchantment like this. A Gilded Midas would also work extremely well with One for All, although the giant sword is still going to be the better option, and I also can't really suggest this for a Reaper Falchion against zombies, because a giant sword still wipes the floor with that thing. There's another place this sword shines: dungeons. Kinda. If you're observant, you'll notice that in dungeons, this sword does, 5,225 damage, which is a bit more than the usual Shadow Fury would, and this makes Mage Beam just more powerful than it already was. You thought that 93 million damage was high? Then you clearly haven't met the giant sword. But the one place it does let itself down is for everything that isn't Mage Beam in dungeons. Losing enchants means losing lifesteal, and losing lifesteal means not being alive for very long. Although that being said, a strong healer can still let you survive using the sword, and has the added bonus of giving you someone to blame if you die. One for All doesn't remove reforges, only enchantments, so picking a good reforge to go with it is very important. If you're going for left click mage, then the obvious choice is Withered, because the huge strength bonus is the best thing you can get for that, but if you're using it outside of dungeons, then Dirty is probably the best reforge to use. It's way better than Fabled because 15 ferocity is a 15 DPS boost, and an extra 20 attack speed is a further 20 DPS bonus, so all in all, Fabled is just dead, and Dirty is better 99% of the time on every weapon. So yeah, a new best weapon is out there. One for All might not have application on most weapons, but it certainly does on the giant sword, and whether or not this gets nerfed is really down to the admins. You sacrifice your lifesteal, looting, scavenger, and luck enchants for rare drops, but in return, you get the ability to just chop everything in half. And hey, the ability is also satisfying to use too.